Imagine waking up. You're in a hospital bed, you're near death, and you have absolutely no memory of who you are. No name, no past, just nothing. A blank slate. But deep down, there's this chilling set of skills, violent instincts, just lying dormant, waiting. And that's the electrifying starting point for our deep dive today. We're going into the gripping, pretty bewildering origin story of a man who becomes, well, one of fiction's most iconic figures.
Yeah, we're going to pull back the layers on what happens when your entire identity is basically a lie, right?
Yeah.
Meticulously crafted by others. And how one man's, relentless quest for truth doesn't just unravel his own past, but this huge web of international intrigue, personal revelation, and profound psychological turmoil. It's more than just a thriller. It's really a journey into the essence of self-discovery, or maybe the horrifying absence of it.
Right. So our mission for you today is to unpack those first critical steps of Jason Bourne's journey. We're drawing insights directly from the very first pages of the original source material. We'll trace his path from this mysterious rescue all the way to the shocking truth of his, well, manufactured past. So let's dive right into this labyrinthine tale.
Okay, so the story kicks off with this really visceral image. A man literally adrift in the Mediterranean Sea near death. The text says the water was swallowing him, sucking him under, and he's desperately clinging to some debris. He's barely conscious, really on the brink.
And his injuries are, well, they're not just severe, they're incredibly unusual. The source material details these deep bullet wounds, legs, stomach, chest, but somehow they were self-cauterized and continuously cleansed by the sea, which is wild. But the most critical damage is this cranial wound, a blow to the head that seems to have just wiped him clean.
Yeah, that cranial wound is absolutely the linchpin of his condition. The text describes bruising to his thalamus and hippocampus regions, basically the crucial parts of the brain for memory. So that's the precise medical explanation for his amnesia. His past is gone, but his vital functions are thankfully intact. He's alive, but his history is just a gaping void.
And his rescuer, not exactly who you'd expect. A guy named Dr. Jeffrey Washburn on the isolated Ile de Port-Noir. He's a disgraced alcoholic doctor, dismissed for apparently killing patients while drunk. Definitely not your typical heroic savior, you know. This morally compromised figure immediately sets this unique, almost shadowy tone for Bourne's recovery.
Absolutely. Washburn's own, let's say, compromised past creates this strange, almost symbiotic relationship with our amnesiac patient. It kind of highlights that the man who will become Bourne is being nursed back to life by someone who himself exists on the fringes. But even in this weakened state, this nameless man starts showing flashes of extraordinary, almost terrifying abilities. Like he catches an automatic handgun thrown by Washburn with this clean, swift, and confident motions, purely instinctive and automatic reaction, hints at something unsettling.
Yeah, and what's even more astonishing, given the amnesia, is what happens on that fishing boat. Despite being weak, he gets into this brutal fight. He attacks a crewman with these precise martial arts-like moves. The book describes him shooting his right hand up, yanking, twisting, jamming his heel. I mean, it's incredibly specific, and he even cries out, "Misa!" in the process, a word he doesn't understand. This isn't conscious memory. It's pure, visceral instinct. What does that immediately tell us about who he was before this? What kind of life leaves that kind of violent imprint?
It's more than chilling. It's a profound paradox, right? These aren't just impressive moves. They're deeply ingrained automatic responses, like muscle memory, but lethal. They are a terrifying window into a past that's physically imprinted on him, a subconscious killer lurking beneath that blank slate. It forces us to confront this idea that maybe who we are is deeper than what we consciously remember, like an innate set of skills almost independent of conscious thought. These latent abilities are the first really alarming breadcrumbs of his true identity.
Speaking of breadcrumbs, a specific word starts to surface in his mind. Bahnhofstrasse. A street in Zurich. Just this random, insistent detail in a mind that's otherwise completely blank. A single desperate clue.
And Washburn, in his own cryptic way, kind of encourages this fragmented quest for self. He tells the man, "You are not helpless, you'll find your way." It's quite profound, really, implying the answers are within him, buried under the amnesia, and that this journey is one he has to take alone.
So, from the rocky shores of Port-Noir, our nameless man heads to Zurich, following that one, almost mystical breadcrumb. And his journey there is, well, it's a testament to his burgeoning, pretty brutal resourcefulness. He gets to Marseille, secures altered papers, even cleverly gets money off a Marquis de Chamfort for a Jaguar. It's all instinct, all survival.
What's really remarkable here is how these instincts manifest. He's remembering how to operate in a dangerous world, but not who he is. You see the difference. And along the way, these recurring jarring images haunt him. Parachuting from a plane at night. He keeps asking himself, he had parachuted. Where? Why? His past is literally flashing before his eyes, but it's all out of context, like fragmented dreams or something.
So Zurich, it turns out to be both a revelation and, a trap. At the Gemeinschaft Bank, he accesses this 30 account, a type of secret numbered account using a unique numerical signature. The bank staff say it takes the place of a name.
And then comes the moment of truth. He's shown a document, and there it is. Owner, Jason Charles Bourne, address, unlisted, citizenship, USA. But seeing the name Jason Charles Bourne isn't just information for him. It's like a physical trauma. His chest pounding, the vibration in his ears was deafening, the pain in his stomach more acute. This isn't relief. It's a violent assault on his psyche. It's the moment he realizes his identity isn't some blank slate waiting to be filled, but maybe a pre-written death sentence. His own name is a trigger, signaling danger, not belonging.
And bang, the trap is sprung. Immediately. He's attacked right there in the bank. But again, those lethal instincts just kick in. He swept his left foot off the floor, pivoting, his heel plunging into the armed man's hand, disarming him. Brutal efficiency. Then comes the chilling message from one of the attackers. Kill Jason Bourne. Which raises this terrifying question. Why? Why is finding his name instantly linked to this violent threat? What kind of man is Jason Bourne that his very existence is a call to arms for assassins?
That's a crucial point.
Yeah.
It suggests the identity Jason Bourne itself is the target, a dangerous label. So he's not just a man with amnesia, he's a man whose name invites death. Now, with killers on his heels, he needs a new strategy, and he finds it almost accidentally in this Canadian economist named Marie Saint-Jacques. He takes her hostage at the Carillon du Lac Hotel, explicitly using her for camouflage.
His survival instincts are just razor sharp. He quickly figures out that Koenig, a bank official, must have tipped them off. How? By overhearing him say his hotel room overlooked the lake. Such a small detail, but in this world, minor slip-ups like that can cost you everything.
Yeah, and his escape is this masterclass in calculated deception and just raw survival. He uses Marie as a human shield, which leads to a shootout where he actually re-injures his previous wounds, a stark reminder of Port Noir. He even forces Marie to drive, points a gun right at her stomach. It shows this ruthless pragmatism born of sheer desperation. He's not thinking about morality, he's just trying to survive.
Then there's this strange compulsion he has. This seemingly irrational need to drive past the Dreh Alpenhäuser restaurant again and again. A book of matches evokes some vague, unsettling image, another flicker of the past, still just out of reach. And his control over Marie is still desperate and violent. At one point, he grabs her by the hair, yanked her head toward him until her neck was stretched when she tries to escape. He needs her, but he's utterly ruthless about ensuring her cooperation.
What's really fascinating here is the collision, the external threat versus his internal struggle. He's desperately trying to piece together fragments of memory, driven purely by instinct, while simultaneously fending off trained killers. Then he uses Marie as bait to get into this guy Chernak's flat. There he confronts and kills one man, forces info from another, and confirms they were paid by someone named Carlos and that Chernak knew Bourne was alive. This is the first real concrete link to this legendary, almost mythical assassin.
And that link leads him straight to Paris. Marie, now sort of unwillingly allied with him, explains the legend of Carlos. The assassin of Europe, responsible for, 50, 60 political and military figures, operates out of Paris. She even connects him to the bullet-in-the-throat method used to kill her friend Peter, suggesting it's Carlos's signature move.
Right, and this is a crucial moment, not just for Bourne, but for us listening. Marie, being an economist, she approaches this logically. She cleverly challenges Bourne's idea that he's just running from Carlos. She points out the inconsistency. If you were what you say you were, and afraid of Carlos, Paris would be the last place on earth you'd feel compelled to go to. Makes sense, right? She realizes he's actually running into the danger, searching for answers, not away from a threat. It's a key psychological insight into his real, deep-seated motivation.
And those answers start to surface within Carlos's Parisian network, which is hidden, bizarrely enough, within this high-end fashion house, Les Classiques, run by the imperious Jacqueline Levier, a surprisingly elegant yet sinister front for an assassin's operations.
Exactly. Embedding himself in haute couture. It offers Carlos both perfect cover and access to power and wealth. Smart in a twisted way. Then we meet General André François Villiers, a celebrated resistance hero. His story takes such a tragic turn. He discovers his wife is Carlos's mistress, a relay for assassinations. Overcome with outrage, Villiers kills his wife. Just devastating, a total personal betrayal.
Okay, here's where Bourne makes this shocking, incredibly strategic move. He takes responsibility for the murder. He creates this pact with Villiers. It's described as insanity, but it's a calculated risk, right? Designed to disrupt Carlos's operations and use Villiers' extensive resources against him. He's not just reacting anymore, he's actively turning the tables on a global assassin.
Precisely. And Bourne systematically starts dismantling Carlos's network in Paris. He uses psychological pressure, disinformation. He intimidates sales clerks within La Classique, exposing their fear and their loyalty to Carlos. He terrifies key figures like number 5, Claude Orial, gets him to reveal the threat of a massacre if Carlos enters La Classique, and also the suspicion that the bookkeeper, Pierre Trignon, is an Interpol informant. Basically, he's sowing chaos and distrust within Carlos's tightly controlled world.
He confronts Pierre Trignon directly, too, implicating him and Lavier in financing Carlos, and warns him about public execution. In fact, this is definitely not the work of a man without a plan, or without, a deeply ingrained understanding of covert ops and psychological warfare.
Carlos, though, is equally ruthless and brilliant. Lavier is found dead, a tragic suicide staged by Carlos in a church confessional. It's described as brilliantly thorough, showcasing his meticulous methods and his willingness to eliminate anyone who becomes a liability. Slight pause. It's a stark reminder that in this world, loyalty is a temporary luxury, and being a liability is basically a death sentence.
But Bourne gets a crucial piece of info through Danjou, who's a former Medusan operative, the definitive visual identification of Carlos, the wide, heavy shoulders, the tapered waist, the dark-skinned face encased in a white silk scarf below the narrow-brimmed black hat. And Carlos is revealed to be the designer, René Bergeron, the man hiding in plain sight, pulling the strings right from the heart of the fashion world.
So with Carlos's identity uncovered, the pieces really start falling into place. And this leads us to the shadowy hand behind a lot of this intrigue. Treadstone 71. It's a covert U.S. intelligence operation based in a brownstone on 71st Street in New York. And it's here that Major Gordon Webb, known as Delta from the Medusa operation, arrives. This brings us much closer to Bourne's true origin.
Right, and this is where the central myth, the legend of Cain, just begins to completely unravel. David Abbott, this figure known as the Monk, reveals the truth. Cain isn't a real person. He's an American intelligence officer. He was a fabricated legend, basically a lure, a trap for Carlos.
Yeah.
Bourne, it turns out, was recruited after the Medusa operation specifically to become this mythical assassin. The man we know as Jason Bourne was, in fact, an illusion.
Yeah, and what's truly unsettling here is that Bourne's entire existence as Cain was this meticulously crafted lie, designed just to draw out Carlos. But the personal toll is immense. We find out Bourne's real past. He was Delta, a Medusa operative filled with so much hate after his family was tragically killed on a pier in the Mekong River. He was considered psychologically a borderline case, but they chose him for his expertise. And he took the identity of a man he killed in Tamquan, that's where Jason Bourne comes from, to create the Cain persona. So the name he found in Zurich wasn't even his originally. It was a name taken by the real Delta to become Cain. That's like layers upon layers of manufactured identity.
Meanwhile, Alexander Conklin, who's running Treadstone, initially believes Bourne has turned, maybe made a deal with Carlos, so he orders his execution. This internal conflict and distrust within Treadstone itself adds another dangerous layer to Bourne's already incredibly precarious situation.
Conklin's whole perspective shifts, though, after talking to a psychiatrist, Dr. Panoff. Panoff introduces this groundbreaking idea for Conklin anyway, that a mind so traumatized can actually fracture into distinct identities. In Bourne's case, Delta, Cain, and the amnesiac he currently is. Panoff confirms this isn't just some convenient excuse, it's medically plausible. And this psychological insight is the linchpin. It makes Conklin realize his initial assumption about Bourne turning was just profoundly wrong. It's a moment that kind of bridges the psychological horror of Bourne's state with the strategic realities of the whole espionage world.
And it's Marie, surprisingly, who brilliantly figures out the true purpose of that newspaper article planted back in Zurich, the one accusing her of being Cain's accomplice. She realizes it was a deliberate message from Treadstone, designed to smoke out Bourne to bring him to surface. His silence during the amnesia, the millions he supposedly stole, his disappearance, it all made Treadstone think he'd turned against them.
That's a critical insight, yeah. It links Bourne's personal amnesia directly to the global conspiracy. So the brownstone in New York then becomes the ultimate trap. Born, injured, bleeding. He knows he's the bait. His goal isn't just finding his identity anymore. It's fulfilling his promise to Villiers and taking Carlos down, even if it means his own death. He's essentially embracing the role of the trap itself.
And Marie, still unwavering in her belief that Bourne is not Kane, insists on going to the brownstone. She understands he'll come to her. She clings to this idea. It's a powerful psychological anchor for her that what a man can't remember didn't exist for him.
It's such a profound line. It encapsulates the whole journey, really. For Bourne, forgetting isn't just a loss. It's potentially a liberation, right? A chance to maybe escape the monstrous identity that was thrust upon him. But the forces that created him, well, they aren't letting go easily. It leaves us with this profound tension between the man he was forced to be and the man he might yet become.
Wow, what a journey through the labyrinth of one man's fragmented memory and this massive global conspiracy. From a nameless man adrift in the Mediterranean to confronting the architect of his own fabricated past, Jason Bourne's story is just a profound exploration of identity itself.
It really forces us to ask, doesn't it?
Right.
If your entire past, your skills, even your name, were meticulously constructed for a mission, what part of you remains truly authentic?
Yeah.
Can you ever escape the identity given to you, even if it wasn't yours to begin with? Or are we, forever shaped by the roles others cast us in?
Yeah. So this deep dive leaves you with a powerful question to think about. In a world just saturated with information and curated narratives, how much of what you know about yourself or about others is truly authentic? And how much is influenced by the stories and identities that others have created for you, or maybe that you've unwittingly adopted yourself? Something to ponder until our next deep dive.